Now with the Chronicle of a Cultural Revolution. Michael Grynbaum is a journalist for the New York Times, and he has a new book called Empire of the Elite, and it looks at the influence of Condé Nast, which publishes magazines including Vogue and GQ. Thank you so much for being here, Michael. We're thrilled to talk to you on such a fascinating topic. So let's dive right in. How were the big names at Condé Nast, the editors and the larger-than-life people that transcend pop culture, so influential, and were they influencers of their time?
Yeah, before Instagram, before TikTok, and this feels like a lost world, but we got magazines like Vogue, Vanity Fair, GQ, Architectural Digest that told us what were the latest fashion trends, what was happening in the culture. And in a world before the internet, these editors like Anna Wintour, Graydon Carter, Tina Brown, their power in the culture was immense. They were the gatekeepers, the arbiters, and people feared them all around the country.
Yeah, it's such an interesting reality to think back on because now everyone has a camera, but it was their lens that created what we all saw as consumers and what really dictated everything. All the things people cared about were there in those magazines, and now you have a million other places. How did you gain your connection to Condé Nast?
Yeah, well, I love the way you put that because I grew up in the suburbs, and I couldn't wait every month for a copy of Vanity Fair to land through the mail slot because it opened up a world for what was happening in Manhattan and Los Angeles and Paris and London, this sophisticated world of movers and shakers and what they were up to. And that was it was a portal to that. And, it really inspired me as a young kid about being a writer and kind of what the big world was like out there.
You mentioned the sophistication of the big cities that you listed off. A lot of that had to do with the big parties that these magazines and these publishers and these larger-than-life figures through. I think of the Met Gala or the Vanity Fair Oscar party. Those still exist today. What did you find out in your reporting about the genesis and history of those parties? Yeah,
this was some of the most exciting reporting I did because even though these magazines have smaller readership, I mean, think about the Vogue Met Gala. Everyone wants to know which celebrities are going to be there, what they're going to wear. One amazing thing I found out about is how lavish the expenses were. At the Vanity Fair Oscar party, one year, Vanity Fair got an apple farm months before to put sort of a vise around the apple and squeeze the pigment so that it was imprinted with the Vanity Fair logo, and then they would fly it from New York State to Los Angeles right before the party and hand it out to Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. And this probably cost thousands and thousands of dollars basically for a party favor.
Do you have any idea, by the way, what the party favors cost nowadays? Is there there has to be a decent disparity between what they were throwing at these things then versus today because they don't have the ad dollars coming in that they used to.
We're not really in the caviar and truffle era of magazines these days. I think it's more kind of sponsored clothing and maybe some socks and things like that.
Get a gift card to visit an apple orchard on your own.
Or an Apple store.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
One of the biggest pop culture nods to Condé Nast is The Devil Wears Prada. The new one is now, the sequel is in production. Would you say your book tells the true story behind that inspiration?
Absolutely. I think anyone who wants to know the Miranda Priestly backstory or sort of where Anna Wintour came from and how she became a global icon of fashion can read the book and find out about, what it was really like behind the scenes at a high-flying magazine publisher, the type of thing that Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway are going to be back on our screens portraying in just a few months.
What did you make of the recent news that Anna Wintour is stepping down her role as editor-in-chief?
Well, first of all, it was great timing for the book. So, hats off to Anna so thank you so much. It's a major moment. Vogue really around the world is still recognized everywhere, anywhere you go. And Anna Wintour has been there for more than 40 years, which is incredible. I think it's the first significant sign that they're looking for a new generation, that, Vogue still matters, but it needs to come to us through our phones, through Substack or TikTok or social media or video. And I think this is a sign that Anna Wintour is looking for kind of a new person to come in, carry the torch for younger folks who still want to know about fashion, still want to know about luxury.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for writing this book and for coming here to talk about it. Michael Grynbaum, you can pre-order Empire of the Elite now on our website. It's coming out on Tuesday. Read it.